This is everybody's day. This is everybody's day. One of the things you find out on a journey of spiritual knowledge is that God does not do anything to advance anybody. If God pays your school fees, it's not because of you. It's because God has discovered that you are a means to an end. Are you with me? Oh, you don't understand. How many of you wrote JAMB once and you passed? It was because God was not willing to acquaint you with failure very early. Stay with me. Stay with me. There are some things I would have loved to say if the other topic was my own. But this was Paul's thing. Because God didn't want you to be acquainted with failure early. You will not be a true priest if you have not known failure. So if you have not known it, it's just time. Everybody will pass through the corridors of failure because there is a work that God cannot do in you if you have not known failure. I know the first person you propose to, Abi Pastor, is the one that you married. And people use that as a ground upon which to advertise stature. That I am precise in the hearings of God. The only lady I ever proposed to is the one that said yes. That's why you don't know God as the heart mender. If you will be sent to a people like your master, you will be tempted at all points. So if a lady comes or a young man comes and says, I paid school fees for someone for 5 years, and then after we came out, she said, there's another brother. There's no way to mend the heart. Because the Bible says, blessed be God who comforted us in all our struggles, that we may comfort others in their struggles with the comfort that we have received from him. A man cannot give what he read. He can only give what he has. So if you have not received it, then you cannot give it. And I'm saying one of the gates of reception is that God will bring circumstances that will push you to the wall, and then in intervening by his acts, what he uses his acts to do is to open a gate into a knowing. My rent has been due for many years, but after the second year I lost fears, because I found out that one of the ways God, one of the acts of God is that, you see, he sits in heaven but intermeddles in the affairs of men. And I found out that the heart of my landlord is not as strong as God. So the guy can call me in the night and say, I'm coming to pack your load tomorrow. I will still sleep. You know why? Let me interpret in Yoruba. There's one comedian I listen to. They call her Kiki. Kiki is a master of converting Yoruba directly to English. You see, the rope of everybody's life is in the hands of God. Okun and me is in the hands of God. If he jacks it, that landlord will not wake up in the morning. So because I know that you may not wake up in the morning, you are not strong. You are not strong. And even if you wake up and say, I'm coming now, you may not arrive. A man who knows God, there are two major things that will make people know that you know God. One of them is that you will become what you know. And so the scarcity of becomings is proof that we don't know him. That's one. The second thing is that you can't know God and be anxious. Rest is one great reward for knowing God. There was a time we had a bad business many years ago, about 6-7 years ago. Bad business. And some of our creditors were to come from Oshogo. About 15 of them. It was only one that was our creditor. He now hired non-Christians, 15. And they said they were going to come on a Sunday when we're in church. These guys don't like me before. These non-Christians don't like. I didn't even have enemies among even in the body because of my hard line. So this Afar said, we'll come and scatter Sunday service. And I went to God on Saturday night and said, help me, help me. The reason why I approached unto him is because in scriptures he has been introduced to operate like that he can help. So he came. And he didn't come to do anything to those people. He came, his help came as an utterance. Because another one of the acts of God is that he can speak. Lord, they said they are coming. He said, call them back to say what? That if they take off from Ogbomoso, that whole vehicle, or from Osogbo, that whole vehicle will be wasted on the road. None of them will arrive. Okay. So I picked my phone. The Lord said, if you travel, all of you will die on the road. And so I continued service. Once I see anybody coming in, do they look like them? They are not like them. So after the service, I now called their spokesman. Oga, you didn't come. He said, we will not arrive. Oh, so you knew that I had something to scare. That was the last day they troubled me. The acts of God are not ends. He provides for you so that you can rest. And rest becomes your proof that you know him. The children of Israel, the Bible said to us, were specimens of the acts of God. There was almost no definition operationally of God that was not expressed on the children of Israel. From the good side of God to the bad side of God. As a matter of fact, the conversion of their 40 days to 40 years was also an attestation to how God acts. That if a man wants to waste his time, God can help him. Yes. So some of you have been praying against the spirit of delay. I came to announce that maybe while you are there, is that there is an alignment that God instructed that will secure your entrance. And because you do not know that God is just, it means He plays by rules. Are you with me? You think that you can jump the rules and come into the promised land. When God sees a man like that, He activates his activity along the lines of time wasting. We don't teach these things in church. You want to be there for another 50 years, be there. But I will keep my promise. Because when he swore to Moses, he swore that Moses will come into the land. And you see, Moses misbehaved. He was killed, but Moses came. Because if you come onto the Mount of Transfiguration, you will see God, the promise keeper. That Moses, one day your feet will still step here. I keep my promises, but we can shift time frames. Okay, when we said the acts of God, you felt I was going to say God can provide for you. You know that one. That God can heal you. You don't even need to pray before He does. Because there are mercies that His love orchestrates. That's why when somebody comes and says, see all these things happen because I pray well, I laugh. If everything you have is a byproduct of your prayer, then you are not one of us. Because we got here by grace. Yes. If it is all works, and you know prayer can be work. So the reason why I'm this anointed is that I fasted. I can take you on journeys to see people have been fasting before you were born. And every time they asked for an allocation, God checked and found out that there was nothing of sort that was allocated to them. You can't use fasting to get what is not yours. Okay. I can't be as anointed. I can't be anointed like you, sir. Because the anointings on your life were directed towards a labor. I can pray for it. I can fast for it. But you see, God doesn't give like that. Everybody wants to be like P. Danny. Abi now. Once you enter a meeting, it's blazing. No. Those graces were for P. Danny. God doesn't act like that. What He does is that He gives to every man what is his own allocation. So if you were not sent to a generation, you will not carry what is carried. And in case you were sent to a generation, you needed to be sent like him to a generation. It means having the same mandate. And the last time I checked, no two of us are like the acts of God. When we begin in scriptures to give names to God, we are permitted to name God by essence or by acts.